Yeah, so I bought a Magic deck. It's a new Capenna deck, the Perry the Pulverizer. And then you were
New kit.
telling me that they released a deck with 10 duplicate cards.
So yeah, there. I can't figure out the proper way to segue out my name in there and continue the conversation. So I'm Christopher.
Oh,
He's
hi.
Jay. Yeah, and yeah, we're talking about magic for the beginning of this. So just hold in.
It's all
Um,
WotC. It all ties together.
it's not the grumpy WotC masters.
Well, that's all we ever talk about. So go ahead.
Fair enough. But yeah, so like there's rumors that one of the new sets had duplicate cards, and um, it was rumored that at least one of them had 10 duplicate cards in it. And I kind of saw some musings on that through Reddit and whatnot, and I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. You know, the last set had one that was haha. This one has 10, haha. That's funny. So there is a YouTuber called the Professor for Trillian College.
Yeah, Tolarian College, yes.
Yeah, and he opened the new Comperia commander sets because he does his little thing. Is are they worth it to buy?
Mm-hmm.
The guy actually pulls the deck that had the duplicate cards in it
Oh.
on live, just bam, bam, bam. Like he's like, yeah, this is insane. So
So my real question is, was it worth it value wise to buy that?
no,
Okay, because if
because
it's
they're all because there are like commons and uncommons.
oh yeah, no, I would just be upset about that. I mean, we bitch about WotC a lot on here, and lately that's for good reason. Let's see, last Magic set had a duplicate card in it that was you can't play that deck in Commander. You can't have duplicates. This
Right.
one had one with 10 cards in it. Then there was the misprint monsters on the like that one. That's just ridiculous. How does any of this make it past quality check?
Well, I mean, in the past, so this stuff would have had to been purchased and sent to the printers and shipping probably mid 2021, I would
Yeah.
assume. Okay. And mid 2021, we were still in the middle of the global pandemic. So you may not have the best quality control going on right then and there. And by the time they get those books, that first wave of books to actually identify the problems, it's taken an extra long time. Shipping is still, terrible right now.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it is. It definitely
so
is.
so they do a cost loss analysis, or if that's still what it's called, or whatever it is. I'm not an accountant,
Cost
and
benefit analysis. I don't know.
yeah,
I have a
where
business degree, but I don't know.
where they just say, okay, would we lose more revenue than it would take to replace these things? And for the
Yeah.
monster set, no, it's not that big of a risk. It's not going to hurt them horribly, to release that set and have the errors be a part of it, you know. Um, so I can kind of see why they would do that, and
People will absolutely still buy that. People will
oh yeah,
absolutely not buy Magic decks with crap duplicates. If it had good, like if it was rare duplicates and they were actually good cards, people would buy that for sure. But
yeah,
it takes all it takes is one person opening it and realizing these are all garbage duplicates, and then just spread the word. Nobody will buy that. That deck is going to be lost.
yeah. And I'm not sure how. I see it more for Strixhaven and other thing, but Strixhaven, I usually see it once a release, but Strixhaven I've seen a few times where that book was printed upside down and backwards.
God,
So like, you have to flip it over to the cover and start reading it that way.
I didn't even hear about that one. So
I
okay,
mean,
there's another one.
that happens every single wave. There's a couple books like that. I'm not sure how it happens.
I have never heard of that happening.
I mean,
Not within D&D.
I see. Like I said, I literally just saw it last week where someone's like, "Hey, I just got my new Strixhaven book in. Take a look," and
Oh,
flips it
I
over. It goes
believe it.
backwards.
I believe it happens. I've just never heard about it.
Yeah, because it's not that big a deal when it comes to like the books, whatnot. Because the book's still there, it still functions, and it's kind of funny. Like, hey, my book says monsters on it.
Or Sonnet, yeah.
I love that. I find it funny, and they're not going to pull back a whole wave, and so
No,
I can
because
kind of
something,
see it.
yeah, with books, interior issues, especially misspelled words, things like that, that's going to happen. Nobody ever expects that to not be a thing. That's been happening since books first started getting printed. It will always
Right.
happen. But when it ends up on the spine of a book, like on the outside, that should have been caught. And I understand they should still release it, but it should have been caught, and it should have been caught quick.
Well,
You know,
yeah, I think it was because the mass release of the books didn't have that same problem.
yeah.
But are they going to basically pull that huge stack of books that have this monsters on it?
No, no, especially since it was stuck in, like by the point the printing was done and everything, it's shrink wrapped inside a 3 box set. Hell no, they're not going to
Right.
pull that. But it never should have
Exactly.
happened.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, like, it does happen, and with as bad as shipping is right now, I can see them just going, just throw it out.
Yeah,
So just keep it going.
yeah. A couple of years ago, before the issues, they might have just pulled that. But no, I understand. It's just one of those things. I don't know, if I worked in a job and I made that error, I'd probably get fired. Like,
Well,
it,
I mean, I think when it comes to when you have stuff printed, there's like a 10% ish like margin of error that always occurs.
that's
And of
way too
course
high.
you want that to be zero, but you plan for that 10%.
It should be
Um,
like 1% or lower.
well, that's what you want, but you plan for 10. And then you have special edition books with the monsters on it now.
Yeah.
It just becomes like a joke in a way.
Yeah. Just one of those things, I guess.
I
Still,
mean,
it just seems bad on the like. It just seems bad. I can't think of any other way to really say it.
to me, it's just kind of because like even like when I write documentation and whatnot, you can't get 100% correct everything in a document.
Correct.
There will always be a problem, and I can go through every D&D book and always find a problem. I
Oh,
can go through
yeah,
every report and find a problem. I can go through everything and find a problem. So the
yeah.
errors are always going to
I,
exist.
I I look through my second and third edition books occasionally, and I'm like, that's a misspell. Like, that's
Yeah.
mispunctuation. Like, it happens.
Yeah. And so you like 90% or better, 95% or better, whatever the margin is. And when you're writing stuff, especially if you're trying to publish stuff, my first publication has a lot of problems in it, and the second one has some problems too. But all that matters is what you recognize what those problems were, and then work to fix those. You
Yep.
know, it you can get there in the end. It just takes a little while though.
Yeah. Nobody expects a video game to be released without bugs and errors. Sometimes it's
Well,
20 years later, and they're still full of bugs and errors.
it becomes a feature then.
Yeah. It's working as intended.
But I will say though too, like back in the games released in the 80s and 90s, they definitely had their fair share of bugs, but they were definitely a lot more polished. But the scope was also much more narrow.
Yeah.
Like your average Final Fantasy game, because had very few problems, very few errors with it. There were a couple items that didn't work right, you know. Like you pick up a helmet that says it does this, but it never does that thing that says it's supposed to do. And you're
Hmm.
like, what the hell? Well, that's probably a bug that happened or something that didn't get fixed. You may find some errors here or there, but like actually Pokemon and Missing No is a good example. Like Missing No is a very well-known bug problem that existed, especially with the duplicate bug that exists in the game. Like that took a long time for people to figure out, and then just kind of became like a feature of the game in a way.
Yeah, but we're also talking about things that were released on disc or cartridge. Those once they're released, man, there's no fixing that. At
Right.
least today, everything is just downloaded off the internet, so they can constantly update and correct the errors. Which is another reason that we're getting all these alpha and beta games that are being released, because there's like, we'll just release it, get some money back, and fix it as we go over the next few years, aka Baldur's Gate 3, which was barely anything when it was first dropped and shouldn't have been released for another 2 years.
Yeah, that one's weird.
Yeah, I am looking forward to playing the finished product for sure.
Me too.
Are
Maybe.
you? Are you really? I think you'll probably enjoy it if you play it with the rest of the Grumpy Dungeon Masters guys on stream.
Like the current game.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much like
At least,
Divinity.
at least in Baldur's Gate 3, the fighter was a fighter, and he didn't have to have spells to do shit.
Yeah, and you'll be able to play your fighter exactly how you want to.
Jeez.
You're not going to have to go to the two-handed build with a few spells here and there to buff yourself.
Yeah, I really wish they would bring back the martial healing classes they had in 4th edition.
I don't know anything about those. What is that?
So, 4th edition, from a game mechanic standpoint, healing was pushed more to your healing surges, and your healing surge was essentially like the hit die in 5th edition
Yeah.
and third edition. Okay.
Yep.
So instead of waiting for a short rest to happen, so you could heal yourself up with your hit die, the healing classes would proc a healing surge, would proc your hit die for you middle of combat. And I think there's a spell in Strixhaven that does that.
Okay, so let me kind of bring this out so I fully understand. So a cleric didn't necessarily have healing spells. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But they also had spells that could force you to use your hit dice for healing in mid combat. Yeah.
So like you would basically the cleric would use like cure wounds. So you would roll your hit die, your healing surge, and then you would add their modifier to it.
Okay.
Okay. As simple as that. Everybody had the opportunity to do second wind. Everyone could do that.
All right.
Everyone could draw deep within themselves and basically get back their hit die plus con modifier. Okay. So that's how the base of how healing classes worked in 4th edition. There was a martial healer. That was a fighter subclass called the War Master, I believe. Battle Master. It was called the Battle Master.
Okay.
And essentially what he would do is he was kind of built to kind of like yell orders out to the group. So like he could basically tell you to make a melee attack on his turn, and you get his modifier to damage and attack.
Yeah.
Okay. Or like he could tell you to to perk up and you get resistance for a turn.
It's the warlord subclass basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And so one of the things he could do is he could heal you by yelling at you. Like, get up, soldier! Come on! And then like that would heal you. So like it worked really well in 4th edition. I love that class.
I would love for that class to have a 20th level ability where you just instantly execute one of your other teammates and it gives everybody else bonuses. You know, like what's the Warhammer character that does that? I can't remember, but there in the Imperial Guard in Warhammer, there is a character who can do that. You can execute one of your soldiers to basically boost their morale. And I say this obviously jokingly. You can't have your character killing off somebody else's character to benefit everybody else, but
I mean, I did make that power for my wife in our Waterdeep campaign.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I kind of was like, okay, since you're a Lolth priestess, what's a cool thing that would be really neat for you? And I looked up all the Drow characters, and there was a Drow maiden and had some kind of ability that caused psychic damage to her allies, but then like the ally could hit harder or swing harder. Okay. So I was like, oh, so that's a
So she just berates them into getting better.
Yeah. So I basically took that same idea and I created Lolth's Fickle Favor. It's a first level bonus action. Okay. As a bonus action, the player can bestow the Blessing of the Spider Queen on one ally they can see within 30 feet. The ally takes 2d6 psychic damage but has advantage on the next attack roll until the end of its next turn.
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty much it. Here, take damage and get stuff.
I mean, yeah, I'm actually good with that, especially if it's a rogue that you're doing
Yeah,
it to, because they need that to get the sneak attack. If nobody else is in melee and they can't get that, here you go.
yeah. And then I think we kind of talked about it for a little bit, and then the next level up was Lolth's Unsettling Grace. As a bonus action, the player can bestow the blessing of the Spider Queen on one ally within the sequence 30 feet. The ally takes 2d6 psychic damage and gets one of the following benefits. That receives advantage on their attack roll, advantage on their next skill check, can use a reaction to make one melee attack, or can use a reaction to cast one spell that's a cantrip.
Okay.
So,
I could even see one that they gain advantage on the next saving throw.
yeah. So that's what. Anyway, I always like that kind of build where you just yell at players and get them to do stuff.
Yeah. Which for a priestess of Loath, it makes perfect sense. That's very fitting.
Yeah. There's a couple people who've kind of brought in some of the Battle Master stuff from 4th edition into 5th edition, but it doesn't really work because 4th edition was a very tactical miniature game more than anything else. So there's a lot of his abilities were sliding characters around and repositioning characters and stuff like that. He could yell at the enemy and cause them to back up 2 squares.
Okay.
That was a common thing for he's just at his at will attack, his normal everyday attack.
Yeah.
Just yelling at enemies and them backing up 2 squares. I don't want to fuck with that guy. I made a character who was he was missing a hand. He was missing his left hand. He was missing his right eye. He was missing his left foot.
Oh my gosh.
And he had part of his stomach blown out. And he was a dwarf named Boss. And he was a battle master. And all he did is yell at people. And are you going to argue with that guy? He doesn't have a hand.
I think every single tavern owner as well should just be a battle master.
Yeah. So
they all have to be dwarves, they all have to be battle masters, and all they do is yell at patrons. I love it. The very New Yorker.
Yeah. It was great. Had a lot of fun with it. So anything new or else fun happening this week?
I went to the Ren Fair.
That's
always
Ren Fair.
A Renaissance festival. I know you've been to Renaissance festivals. You're a nerd.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I've been to one though.
How have you never been to a Renaissance festival?
Oh, I have. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. Asshole.
Of course I have. That's the staple of.
Yeah, no, it was fun because the Atlanta Renaissance Festival it's a big one. There were a lot of people there, and it was cosplay weekend basically. So everybody's there cosplayed as non-Renaissance or medieval characters. There was one dude in his Predator costume. I saw Herman and Lily Munster, and I think the best thing. So they have the jousting arena, and on one side there's the standard person bleachers, and then most other people are just sort of standing on the dirt and up the hill watching the joust. On the other side, though, is where the king is at. It's basically the nobility's bleachers over there, so you can pay to sit in the nobles' bleachers and be part of the spectacle. Well, two of the people who did that, one of them was in Mandalorian costume, and the other one was in a speeder bike trooper costume. Which I just think is even funnier with the speeder bike, and they're all running around on horses, which is effectively medieval speeder bikes.
Yeah. Have you seen the weird 3D corner display they have in Times Square?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there was an advertising going on during when Boba Fett came out, where Boba Fett kind of walking out and scanning the people walking around and sitting down on his throne, and his throne sliding back. That's. If you're going to sit up there in a costume, you kind of need the Boba Fett and the Mandalorian. You need the whole crew up there,
Yeah, well, Yeah, it was two people, but no, it would have been amazing if everybody just showed up in Star Wars cosplay and then rented that whole section.
Oh yeah, come on, 501st, get on it.
There's a lot of the 501st in Atlanta, so they could definitely do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all that really happened to me this weekend. I got to run D&D on Friday. So I've been planning this for a little bit. I don't send my players after dragons very often because
Uh huh.
dragons are supposed to be rare and dangerous.
Hmm.
They needed something, or they were trying to work a deal with somebody. He needed them to get rid of a young green dragon. All right, so my players are seventh level. There are five of them. Young green dragon is only CR 8. So I bumped its stats up just a little, make it about a CR 10 monster or so. I definitely know they will kill this dragon. There was no questions on that, but I wanted to give them a decent fight. So the thing about green dragons specifically, they are hunters. They like to stay in woodlands and stalk their prey. So the battle starts off. The dragon is invisible. They have a sort of warning. So I will not get a sneak attack round or what do they call it, stealth round on them.
Hmm.
But the sword starts going off to warn them, but they can't see what's going on. There's no enemies, obviously.
Right.
So
Right.
most of the cleric casts a buff spell, which is I don't remember the name of it, Aura of Life, Aura of Purity, something like that. That gives them advantage on all saving throws. Everybody within 30 feet of him gets advantage on poison saves and cannot be poisoned. So immediately, well, that's just going to shut down his breath weapon for the most part.
Okay.
And everybody else holds their actions to do stuff when they see an enemy. The green dragon's turn comes up. He breathes on them. They all take like the few of them that were in the breath take like 10 damage.
Okay.
So it pretty much nerfed right there at that point. Then they all take their actions, do a little bit of damage to it. Second round comes up. Monk runs in, stunning fist, failed saving throw. All right. Well,
Dead dragon.
yeah, it next round comes up, another saving throw, failed saving throw. All right, well, good job, guys. Such a good fight. Ugh,
No
such a great
legendary
fight.
resist on the dragon.
No, I was keeping him close to the CR 8. I seriously did consider just throwing the CR 15 dragon at them and see what happens. I still think they probably could have won.
I mean, when did dragons start getting
It
legendary resist?
goes from CR 8 to CR 15. The CR 15 is the first one of green dragons to get legendary resist.
Hmm. It seems weird that
I-
takes that long.
Yeah, I mean I could have bumped it up, just made it like roughly a CR 12 or so, and given it the resist, and they still would have been able to handle it just because of the aura.
Yeah.
But that, to be fair, that's what clerics are supposed to do. They knew ahead of time what they were going after. If the dragon had just popped up, would have been might have been a little bit different story. They definitely would have taken more damage. But
Okay.
you give a cleric enough time to prepare spells for what you're going to encounter, or a wizard. I mean, that's sort of the whole point of that. Is you have this mass utility of spells, and if you are able to prepare, you become very difficult to deal with.
Yeah. That's why you don't let them prepare.
Well, I wanted them on this in this scenario.
I mean,
They
that
had
is a
no,
smart choice.
yeah, they had no reason to be out there looking for that dragon otherwise.
Right.
But that,
Sometimes it happens.
yeah, I trust me. It's no skin off my back. I knew they'd handle it anyway. I just was hoping it would last a couple of rounds and he'd get to fly around some.
Yeah, I mean, if he's invisible, sneaking up on them, that's much harder for him.
Yep.
They should always
Yeah.
probably just start an engagement flying from the sky on the way down.
Pretty much any other dragon type would have.
Yeah,
It's just the greens. They kind of like to hunt like that.
stupid dragons.
Yep.
You're not a Jabberwock. You're supposed to hunt like that.
But that's what went on with my game.
Yeah, our games are short because the DM had to go to a class, so we kind of got like to the final dungeon. Then we started working our way through, and I got my first recruit to TM at, so that's good.
All right.
Found a kid who just joined the gang because everything in life was terrible, so I offered him a better solution. And yeah,
What you did is you now have a minion.
yeah.
So your next character can be that kid. It's like what
Maybe
it's like what we were
he's an
talking.
archer. I don't want to play an archer.
Fair enough. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast or not about uh, having minions where you can play them when. Yeah, I think I did talk about it last week or the week before. But
Yeah,
effectively having minions that when one shots come up, or if you want to break from your main characters, you just play the alternate character.
yeah. That's always fun to do that. I played a Call of Cthulhu game that was like that, where like when we were traveling from like one city to another, there was like a uh part of the main story is like it's because everything starts, Cthulhu is this massive story that happens over time. So you kind of go back in time a little bit and experience the lives of some other people who were fighting and trying to stop the cult at the same time. And yeah, it ended.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm thinking when my campaign wraps up, and mind you, it's still got a long ways to go. It'll probably last the rest of this year. But between this campaign and the next campaign, which I already am starting to set in motion, I'm going to run a second edition Dark Sun game.
with 5e rules or second edition.
No,
Second
no, second.
edition.
I want my players to actually experience an earlier edition.
Mm.
So I myself need to actually go back and refresh myself on all the rules. I haven't touched second ed in 20 years at this point.
You could always
But
play a fourth edition Dark Sun.
yeah, so ignoring everything that you just said.
You know.
No, I would like them to experience that just to see the difference in the editions. Because only one of my other players has ever played anything before third.
All right.
So it could be interesting. This is still a ways off, but it's something I should probably start doing a little prep work on myself if I'm going to do that. I was
Yeah.
trying I was trying to explain THACO to one of them the other day, and I was explaining it and understanding it perfectly, but without having we were driving, so I didn't have like paper and pen and everything to sort of show them how it works. It just was not clicking with them.
Yeah, because it's super ass complicated.
It's not remotely complicated, but
It's super complicated.
it
Why would
is
your armor be 0?
hey, that's the system they used, man. You wanted a lower armor class. That was the simple of it. The lower the armor class, the better.
It makes no sense. Bigger numbers are better. Bigger is better. It's the American way.
Which is why in third edition they changed it.
I'm like, no one wants to have an AC of 0. Here, have an AC of 45.
I will say if I do this, I will make. They will probably have to make 3 characters each. I'll just be like making 3 characters because you motherfuckers are gonna die.
You guys are gonna.
Getting resurrected in Dark Sun when you're third level is not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean that's a good part about it, though.
Yeah, yeah. Fifth edition, nobody ever dies. It's very difficult to truly kill a character. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. In second edition, oh, it's not hard at all.
Nope.
Plus, everything in Dark Sun has psionics. Everything has psionics.
You can be a Thackreen.
You can. That's actually the reason. That is the primary reason I was considering second edition over just running Dark Sun as fifth edition. Is the psionic rules, because the psionic that they have in 5e are horrible.
Yeah, it really should have been its own class.
Yeah,
Plenty of people were making them, but
it needs its own book. Like it needs to be its own separate thing, not just a here's 3 archetypes that supposedly use psionics that just get some abilities. Like that was kind of garbage.
Yeah, it felt very weird. They really could have used the full book, but I mean, at the same time too, it's like when you add another class to the game, it becomes really hard to keep things balanced. But then again, it's D&D, so you don't need to have the same
Well, no,
balance that MMOs have.
here's the
You
thing:
know?
you don't want another class. You don't want psionics to be an archetype. You want psionics to be a thing that people could have if the DM allows it.
Yeah,
This character just gets access to this system.
right.
I mean, that's what it was in second edition.
I
Worked fine.
that wasn't the way it was in fourth. Fourth had its own psionic class.
Yeah. There were it's God, it's been so long. There was two types of psionics in that edition, and I'm sort of just drawing this vaguely from memory. There was somebody who was a full psionicist, and they got access. Think of them as a wizard. They're just that's all they do. They do psionics, nothing else. And then there was a minor version of it where you could sort of take one little branch of psionics and get a few abilities you could take if you were, say, a fighter or a rogue or something like that, or even a wizard. A wizard could have a few little bits in psionics, or you could multi-class as, say, you know, uh, ranger psionicist, however you wanted to do it.
Yeah, there was stuff like that in fourth where like it was just a little bit. Like you could have just a little bit of a psychic ability, or you could just go for the whole shebang with a psychic class.
Yeah. That's sort of what the archetypes from the 5e stuff looks like. It's just you are this other class, and you get just a hint of it, just a little taste.
It's a little bit
Yep, you get a spoonful.
of sugar.
It helps the bad 5e-ness go down, specifically with psionics.
So I've been thinking more about the Spelljammer release,
Mhm.
and I noticed a few people were talking about the size of the books and being that they're only 64 pages and whatnot.
Yep.
In the art that they released for the book, it is quite apparent that they just took the normal size template that they use for books and put them out that way. Because those books, if they're 64 pages and they have a full cover, the covers themselves will be thicker than the actual 64 pages.
64
Yeah,
pages is not a lot. It really isn't.
no. And like part of me is like I'm gonna wait to see how it turns out, how it looks and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm not getting warm fuzzies anymore.
I'm
Um,
I'm going to buy it. I know for sure I'm going to buy it because I mean, I want to see it. Whether I do anything with it, we'll see. Yeah,
yeah,
I am with you on this. It's the let's wait and see what it really is.
because like I really want it. Like that's a book that I and many other people really want. So it's like kind of hoping it's good, but at the same time, it's like, well, it doesn't look that great.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm not going back to buy the second edition stuff because, well, that costs a lot of money.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. It's like maybe that's the reason why they're not actually going back and releasing a big, good source book for Spelljammer. Because I mean, the other stuff already exists out there. You can go to DM's Guild right now, and you can buy like the Legend of Spelljammer book, the book we talked about last week, as a PDF right now for $10.
Yep.
So why would they want to reprint that data? You know, um, you can buy the adventure right now. You can actually buy the adventure, the 2E Spelljammer Adventures in Space, as a hardcover standard book right now for $27. So, in a way, and it's a very stretch, but in a way, those books are still out there for purchase right now. You
Yeah.
can buy them. So why would they want to go through and just turn around and sell them that way?
I
I,
mean, okay, so me as the buyer,
mhm.
I'm an older fella, mid-40s at this point. PDFs don't do it for me. I mean, I don't play online. And this is specific to me. Some
Mhm.
other people might be absolutely perfectly fine with just picking up those PDFs, using that, and going with it. But for me, I want that physical book in my hand. When I'm running games, I don't want to have to drag out my tablet and start scrolling through trying to find information. I'm so used to just flipping a book and knowing where stuff is at.
Right. So you buy the hardcover book then.
I will. And if it doesn't have the info that's necessary, what do I do at that point? Because I'm
No,
not
no,
going
no.
back and
I'm talking about the second edition one.
yeah, but well, you're talking about like picking up the 5e one. That's I don't know how much they're going to charge for that. What, $80 probably or something?
It was, yeah, $80.
Yeah, so we'll say $80 for that. Then they expect me to go out and drop another 100 on second edition stuff on eBay that's long out of print.
No, and I'm saying no, 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 no. Go to DM's Guild right now.
Uh-huh.
You look up Spelljammer Adventures in Space, the core rule book for with all the source book for Spelljammer. You can buy that in hardcover right now
Oh,
for $30.
really?
And that's why I'm thinking that this release for Spelljammer 5th edition is so small, because Wizards has this deal with DM's Guild, and they get a cut of the profit. So like, hey, yeah, the Spelljammer Sportsbook doesn't have all the lore about Spelljammer. Here's the link to DM's Guild. Buy the second edition stuff, hardcover
Oh,
or soft
okay.
cover
All
if
right.
you want.
I was so you can actually buy these in print. I did not know
hmm
that.
I mean, this is like a PDF and it's printed out in hardcover. It's the same thing for like Minx and Boo when I bought that.
Yeah.
It's done through the DM's Guild printing process. They whatever they do for that, but
No, I see. I never realized that, and honestly, okay, so that actually totally changes my thought process on this. Um,
yeah,
Me as a collector, personally, I would rather have the originals.
right,
But
right.
if I was adamant about running Spelljammer, or honestly, they'll probably do the same damn thing with Dragonlance. Um, but no, that actually makes a lot more sense now because this they already own the rights to all the Spelljammer stuff. Printing it
hmm
out's not going to cost them squat, and they can sort of get people to buy this. They probably need to put something in the new book that tells people about that
They may do that.
because I didn't even know this. I thought everything was just PDF on here.
No, you can buy hard. Like not everything is hardcover, but a
Sure.
lot of it is. So like Legend of Spelljammer, that the book we talked about
Yep.
last podcast with all the ships and stuff. That's only PDF. That
Well,
sucks.
yeah. I went and I pulled up I went to the DM's Guild, went to format, clicked print, and they've got Spelljammer Adventures in Space, War Captain's Companion, the Astromundi cluster, Skull and Bones, Under the Dark Fist. Some of these are adventure modules. The complete Spacefarer's Handbook.
Yeah.
So there's actually a decent amount of stuff that people could get that's all from second edition, obviously. So the rules in it would be useless, but the lore and information in it would not.
Right. Which is probably like why Legend of Spelljammer, being that's a rules book for all the ships, isn't included.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that
but all
makes
the source
sense.
books are there. The adventure's an adventure.
Well, honestly, it's the source books that you need much more so because they can easily later on just release an updated 5e. Here's a bunch of ships, and you know for sure that the books they are releasing are going to have at least a handful of ships in it.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. I really hope they just put the information in there. Or I honestly, what I hope is that every D&D player who cares about Spelljammer listens to our podcast and finds out through us.
Yeah. But share us with your friends.
Yes, share us with your friends. Tell everybody about us. Tell them that we are teaching them how to get good Spelljammer information. I got to see now. Do they have all of the Dark Sun stuff that way? at least a lot of it.
Ooh, hold on. Yeah, that would be
Yeah, actually, you can get the 2E box set, which I actually own. They have the 4E campaign setting. They have Dragon Kings. These are all printable. Black Flames, the complete Gladiator's Handbook, the Will and
because
the Way.
the 4E Dark Sun books are expensive.
The
You
only
can
the
get a
only
soft cover.
the only one I see from 4E is the Dark Sun campaign setting.
Yeah. So you can get the real book for about 30 on eBay.
Yeah,
The creature catalog, no, the campaign setting's the one that's like 300, and the creature catalog is like 30.
I'm
Okay.
actually a little surprised by how expensive some 4E stuff is. I because you know what I do. I buy and sell a lot of things, and I managed to sell a 4E just module for $40 earlier.
Which
Yeah.
module?
Uh, diamond. What the hell was it? The diamond staff. I think that's what it was. Something diamond staff.
Hmm. Not familiar with that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. It really is. It's
I'm actually really glad to know about this though, the printing thing, because if I decide to run 2E, I might actually go out and get one of these rather than the OG one. Because like Dragon Kings, if I ordered the original one, um, let me look right now. It's not going to be cheap. Dungeons and Dragons, Dragon Kings, Dark Sun book. Oh, that's not too bad. There's one in ratty ass condition for about $30.
yeah.
But yeah, I can have it printed on the DM's Guild for $16.
It's not
Or
bad.
no, or I could pay double that to get an original copy. Hmm, I'll have to debate on that. I am a bit of a collector when it comes to 2E stuff, at least.
I mean, yeah, you want the originals, but at the same time, I'm
But
not gonna.
if all I need is the info, I could
Yeah.
drop $16 on it. So I know I mentioned this to you last week. I had come across a archetype that I was actually interested in, and it was for a bard, a new bardic college called the College of Graffiti. And let me send you this link. I'll send it via Facebook because you know me, I'm old and only use Facebook.
Right.
Where'd it go?
The College of
Yeah,
Graffiti. Yeah.
yeah,
We
yeah.
got it here.
The College of Graffiti. I just love sort of the idea of this is that you play a bard that just spray paints shit. I mean, you can help kill bad guys and the ozone at the same time. Uh,
Check out the other works: Artificers, the Aviator, the Grenadier, the Botanist, the Barbarians, Path of the Crusaders, Path of Elements, Path of Life Giver, and the exclusive Path of the Event Horizon.
Yeah,
Huh.
I should probably send out props to the person. They're a Medium writer. If you're not familiar with Medium, it's basically a public blog that you can either pay to get access to. Some people can list their stuff as private, and you pay to get it. You pay a Medium membership to get access to it, and some people just make it out there for free. And this is Ramblings of a Neurodivergent Mind is the tag they go by. But the ones he just listed, the Grenadier, the Botanist, some other ones.
Hmm.
Uh, so we'll kind of read through this one and see what you think about it.
All right.
Maybe we can reach out to them and be like, hey, you could make this better. So
Sure.
when, or hey, we really like this. Uh, Level 3, you get bonus proficiencies. When you join the College of Graffiti at 3rd level, you gain proficiency with painter supplies and in one of the following skill choices: acrobatics, athletics, sleight of hand, or stealth. In addition, whenever you buy painter supplies, you can also include a spray paint can in the purchase without increasing the price, and you can use a spray paint can as a spellcasting focus. Now, obviously, this is not meant for most D&D campaigns. If I saw somebody in Dragonlance or on Toril Forgotten Realms spray painting things, I'm calling BS. But I could see this in Eberron.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So in the right campaign settings, this works, or a modern campaign setting, like just standard 5e rules.
Yep.
So getting painter supplies and the other stuff that's kind of just standard fare for third level stuff. Then you gain also at third level arcane artistry. At third level, you can merge your artistry with your magical talent. The poison spray cantrip is added to the bard spell list for you. In addition, you gain an additional benefit whenever you cast certain cantrips. And I'm going to go ahead and read those cantrips. Mage Hand. Whenever you use the floating hand created by this cantrip to manipulate painter supplies or a spray can, you can use your bonus action to control the hand. Seems good. And normally,
Okay.
I think it's your action, isn't it? I don't know. Let me
Remember
finish.
something.
Yeah, let me
Yeah, go
finish
ahead.
reading them, and then we'll come back to that if we need to. Then poison spray. If the target fails its saving throw against this cantrip, it becomes coated in paint. Each creature that makes an attack against the target gains a +1 bonus to its attack roll, and wisdom perception checks to spot a painted creature have advantage. This lasts for 1 minute or until the creature takes an action to wipe off the paint. And then the last one is prestidigitation. God, I can't say it. Prestidigitation.
Prestidigitation.
Yeah, that one.
Prestidigitation.
Yeah,
Press the
prestidigitation.
indigestion.
Which is funny that I can't say it because it's literally my favorite cantrip that I use with everybody.
I
Uh,
use indigestion.
yeah, I use indigestion to clean myself off. Whenever you use this cantrip to make a color, small mark, or symbol appear, you can have that symbol become durable. The symbol cannot be removed by non magical means, overlaps things that would attempt to cover it, such as paint or a cloth, and remains until it is dispelled or until you dismiss it as an action.
Okay, that's entirely broken.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
How so?
Okay. So I have my mage hand with my spray can. Okay.
Yeah.
And as a bonus action, I'm gonna spray you in the face with the spray can. Giant circle. And then I'm gonna prestidigitate as my action to make it durable so it can't be removed. Worst case scenario, you're blinded, and you can't
Well,
breathe.
rules as written, it does not do that. Now you're still not wrong in the fact that I could literally just spray paint the NWO sign on somebody and it's permanent forever unless they get it dispelled or dismiss it, which is what I would do because I'm a troll like that. So yeah, they should probably put a time limit with that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, at least make it so it's an object and not a creature. Because, like I said, you could do it onto a creature, and then like, okay, I'm gonna just dump the spray can face over them,
Actually,
just spray their face.
no. Actually, that's fine because I'm reading prestidigitation. You make a color, a small mark, or a symbol appear on an object or a surface. So
Okay,
it would not work on a person.
okay, all right, good.
Yeah, so that's something we don't need to worry about. Um, the poison spray part of this, I actually like because I love the idea of poison spray as a cantrip,
Yeah,
but no one ever takes poison spray ever.
I thought about it with my warlock, but
Hmm.
eventually went with mind spike because mind spike was just objectively better.
Yeah. Well,
But it was actually quite a debate in my head what to go with, mind spike or poison spray. I still think poison spray would have been more thematic, but it was
yeah.
melee, and I didn't need another melee thing. I needed
It's not quite melee.
something.
It has a range of 10 feet, so it's yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but
short. It is short range.
if they're 10 feet away from me, I'm just gonna punk them in the face with my sword.
Yeah, like poison spray, as far as cantrips go, it has the highest damage of every cantrip out there. Uh,
What?
yeah, yeah. It
No.
yes, it does. It's a D12.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. But so
But
is Toll the Dead.
yeah, well, I didn't say it had higher than everything else. I said it had the highest. Uh, but the biggest weakness and why people don't ever take it is that one, it is 10 feet. Toll the Dead, I think, is 30. and it's the fact that it's a Constitution saving throw, and if they make it, they take nothing.
Yeah, I
So,
mean that's cantrips are all like that.
well, no, they're not all like that. A lot of them are you just make attack rolls.
No, I mean they're all save or get hit.
Yeah,
Save or
yeah.
suck kind of
It's
thing.
either save or nothing, or it's yeah attack rolls. And the only
Yeah,
ones people ever take are attack rolls, with Toll the Dead being the one exception, I think.
right.
But in this case, because you're getting some benefits to poison spray, it's still all or nothing. But there are other benefits to it. It kind of makes it a little more worth taking.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily like the each creature that makes an attack against the target gains a +1 bonus to its attack roll. I would just make that get its advantage because that's how 5e works.
yeah.
Get rid of the plus modifiers. Just do advantage, disadvantage. Stick with that.
It's it's the best system out there for a reason.
It's the simplest system, and they built the
Best.
system that way. I don't think it's the best, but it is the simplest.
It's the best around.
There are a lot of people who will disagree with that, but anyway,
It's never going to keep you down.
it's the best around. See what you do. It's
I
turning
see
into
what
my
I do.
it's turning into one of my D&D games now. We're just going to start singing 80s songs. Oh, yeah.
That's all.
No, hold
Stream
on.
this.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Speaking of which, and I'm glad this came through because I just remembered it. So, my player Drew, his character had been a warlock in the initial campaign. My current campaign is a sort of a reboot of that. He's playing the same character now, who was a fighter in this newer iteration. He did some things within game and was able to respend completely as a cleric. And
Okay.
so it's his first game or second game as the cleric. It's the first time he's getting to cast spells, and he whips out a scroll that he was going to cast from. And as he's reading the scroll off, he starts reading 80s lyrics, 80s rock lyrics,
All right.
and apparently that's what all of his prayers are. They're 80s music.
I mean, that's good.
Oh no, I've told him that's canon. That's all of your spells from now on. Anytime you pray, you're doing it that way. I think he started off with "Whoa, living on a prayer." Yeah, just read as if though it's on a scroll.
Yeah. I think that is one of the better ideas out there
Yeah,
for sure.
it's first time I'd ever seen anyone run with that, and I'm down for it.
There was a player when back when I was LARPing who like all the spells were basically like it was a word count to cast the spell. So like
Uh-huh.
Fireball was like 5,000 words. Okay,
A lot of
and
words.
I don't know, it did a 20-foot AOE like 100 damage, and that would kill an entire field battle.
Yeah,
So
different
yeah,
LARP, different LARP, obviously.
yeah, different LARP. Um, but there was a couple healing spells that were like 100 words, 150 words. And so one kid basically he made his wolf tattoo that he had on his arm. He had like the 3 wolf moon tattoo on his arm,
Hell yeah.
and then he there's some rap song, some Eminem rap song is what he
Okay.
did, and that's what his words were. So he was running around the field, screaming and saying Eminem rap lyrics, and that's what his healing spells were. I was just kind of, uh,
Whatever. I'm down for it. All right, so back to the College of Graffiti.
well
Uh,
to the head. I win.
yeah.
Go away.
Level 6 enchanted paints.
Okay.
Starting at 6th level, you can spend 8 hours imbuing a spray paint can with magical potential. A spray can imbued in this way never runs out of paint. In addition, a creature gains a benefit as long as the spray can is in the creature's possession. That's kind of weird wording. When you enchant the spray can, choose one of the following benefits: proficiency in either the sleight of hand or stealth skill, and the ability to understand thieves' cant. You could gain advantage on any checks to maneuver through crowds and the ability to ignore difficult terrain until the end of your turn whenever you take the dash action. You can gain proficiency in wisdom saving throws, or you can gain a bonus to the DC of any illusion spell you cast equal to half your proficiency bonus rounded down. Each time you cast an illusion spell of first level or higher, you can change the effect of your spray paint can if the spray can is on your person. If you create a new spray can, the previous one ceases to function. Uh, Actually, that's not bad because normally it takes 8 hours to make this spray can. But if you can change the effect of that every time you cast an illusion spell of first level or higher, then that's not too bad because it makes it quick and easy to sort of swap between these abilities.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, none of those abilities seem to be broken. Like they're kind of standard fare, honestly, and the ability to swap quickly, like I really kind of like that. And
Yeah.
yeah, the last ability you get is at level 14, Inspiring Kaleidoscope, which is a great name, by the way. At 14th level, as an action, you can let loose a flurry of colors from your spray can, coating every surface around you in paint. Covering all of you, everybody. Each creature within 15 feet of you becomes tagged by your paint. If a creature is hostile, it must make a constitution saving throw or become blinded until the end of its next turn. In addition, the creature has disadvantage on dexterity stealth checks, and attacks against the creature cannot suffer from disadvantage until it or an adjacent creature uses an action to wipe the paint off. If a creature is friendly, it gains a single use of your bardic inspiration unless it already has one. This does not use your bardic inspiration. Finally, any floors, walls, and other objects within the area also become tagged with a vibrant and inspiring mural, granting any friendly creature the effects of the heroism spell while standing on a tagged space. The area remains tagged for 1 minute, and you can't use it again
Oh,
until a long rest. So that's a lot of stuff for that ability, but none of it seems that broken.
not really. It does seem like be like an all-in-one kind of thing. I'd have to look at it in a little detail. Let
Yeah,
me see.
everything within 15 feet of you. So basically, it's a 30-foot radius kind of gets tagged by
Yeah.
this ability. The enemies have to make a con save or they're blinded and they have disadvantage on stealth checks and you or anyone attacking that creature cannot suffer disadvantage.
I mean, at level 14, this is good. You
Yeah.
know,
If this was third or fifth or lower level, I
which
would say
tends to be what people do.
yeah. No, at a 14th level, and this I think is perfectly fine.
At
And it'll
third level, you can invoke your gods to cast fireballs 5 times in one round, once a day. Refresh on a long rest.
Yeah, that's the kind of garbage that you will occasionally see. I don't know who the writer for this is, other than what I mentioned earlier. But I'm gonna have to look through all of their other ones because this one seems pretty damn solid. It's not broken, it's creative, and I would play this. I definitely would play this.
It is from Ramblings of a Neurodivergent Mind.
Yeah, I mentioned
Role
it earlier.
playing and socially top writer, a newsletter about sociology, RPG, neurodiversity, creative writing, not exactly in that order.
Yeah, so check them out. They had multiple other ones. If you're looking for some possible homebrew stuff, this one I think gets the Grumpy Dungeon Master seal of approval. It gets mine at least.
So what is a Grumpy Dastard to Seal Approach? Like a long sigh? Yeah, whatever.
The
Okay.
Grumpy Dungeon Master seal of approval, I think, is well, at least it's not broken.
At least not the goddamn time mage.
At least it's not the Time Mage. Uh,
Oh, Chronomancer. He will
yeah,
always
that
have a
was it.
part. It's Panda lost 10 years of his life after reading that.
Oh, he definitely did. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I lost 2 years off my life just from reading it.
I gained 7, oddly enough.
uh, Good for you. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Hey, wait a minute. That's how many me and him lost.
I know.
Goddamn chronomancers. That's what you do. You steal life from other people.
I mean, like you don't.
I mean, I am a ginger. Uh,
Is there anything else this week? Because it was a slow week. WotC blew their load last week.
yeah,
Um,
they really sort of did. And unfortunately, we kind of went through all of it last week because other than the Spelljammer stuff last week, there wasn't a lot of real info.
yeah.
So
I mean, it's just the way it goes sometimes. But you know, feast or famine. I
yeah, especially with
re-
what we're talking about, it is definitely feast or famine.
yeah, I'm really kind of hoping too that, like I said, I really hope the Spelljammer stuff goes through good. I mean, like I looked at some of the monsters in the freeze thing that you can get on D&D Beyond right now,
Uh-huh.
and the monsters seem great. Like they're very creative. I don't. I have not read or done anything in previous Spelljammer stuff, so I don't know if those monsters are just rehashing of old ones. I know the orb monster is, but I don't know if they all are. Like the
Where
Eldritch
did you
Lich.
wait? So did you actually see stats for all these? I mean, we saw the
Hmm.
lich, the lich I
Yeah,
saw. I didn't see stats for anything else.
there are a couple more on there.
Okay.
Um, like there's like this weird orb called like the Perfect Life Form or something like that.
Okay.
Um,
As I am not super familiar with Spelljammer, I can't say I've never seen that one. So.
the Goon Balloon.
Is that part of the clown team that we saw?
No, because I've seen that artwork in the second edition Spelljammer stuff.
I have to look this thing up. Hold on. The goon balloon.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness, the goon balloon. Okay, that's interesting. I'm sad that those clowns don't have this. Like, it would be amazing if one of the clowns did like took a blew a bunch of balloons up, twisted them together, and out pops this thing. Goon balloon, go!
like I said, I know they've been around for a while, and like they even have lore associated with them because they're aberrations. Um, and they've been around. So like I know like that's like a rework. I'm pretty sure the asteroid spiders are a rework, or there's something similar. The Clockwork Horror, which is just the wrong picture to ever associate. Like the picture is straight up something you would see in Star Wars. Or do you remember the movie Screamers? Is it Screamers or Screakers? Screakers
Screamers was that is a movie.
with like the little robots that were in the sand, and they would jump out of the sand and cut your head off.
I think that's Screamers.
Yeah, or Shriekers or something. I don't know.
Might have been Shriekers. I don't remember.
And that's a high tech machine there. Like that's very not D&D world, but this is Spelljammer, so it gets a pass. But like I'm assuming those things like the Eldritch Lich is so cool. Like I really want to use it in something, but
Yeah, but what are you
I
going to use that on? I mean, you never play games up to 15th level anyway. So.
hey, I wrote a one shot on Friday. Friday night I sat down and wrote in a complete one shot from scratch and played it on Saturday, and it was great.
I'm
I'm not talking about it because I don't want to spoil the surprise, but we'll publish it soon.
and just from running through, and this is not a guarantee, but I think these are all new monsters. I don't think these
Goon
are
Balloon is not a new monster. I've seen artwork for that in previous.
okay. Well, I'm not finding it now. That doesn't mean for sure. It's just my quick Google search is not pulling anything up on it from an earlier edition.
Yeah,
But
I've definitely seen the artwork before.
okay. But either way, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it's definitely in 5e.
Goon Balloon.
I really want to know more about those clown things.
I don't. I don't want space clowns. I mean, granted,
But it's
I'm not upset with them. I'm not disposed with them. Like I get it.
it's killer clowns from outer space, man.
Yeah, I mean that's why I accept it. I accept that they are, and I'm happy that they exist. But at the same time, I'm kind of
You don't
like
like the
what?
fact that they're sort of doing a play on a shitty 80s movie.
No, no, no. I'm not. I'm like I said, I'm not upset with it at all. I
Yeah.
didn't think they would go there.
It's one of those things like pun names. Like I hate I hate yet enjoy pun names or just names that are ridiculous. Just as an example, I saw one on Dungeon Master Resources earlier. Uh, so yeah, like Tabaxi pun names: Percival, Priscilla, Claudius, Claudette,
Yeah.
Fernando, shit like that. I hate it, but at the same time, I'm entertained by it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm just like, oh god, really? Well, I'm gonna use them now. Shit.
Yeah, yeah. But occasionally you'll have a player who just wants to name themselves that. If it's a one shot, I'm 100% just go for it, man. It's a one shot. I don't care what you're doing. If anybody ever tries to name themselves stuff like that in my primary campaigns, I will shut that down in a fucking heartbeat. So yeah, with the clowns in a one shot, I could absolutely see using this. If I was running a real campaign, probably would never actually utilize them. Although I have occasionally been known to do some weird stuff in the primary campaigns. So
I mean, like, remember, I think it was last week where I talked about like having a monster or something that everyone can rally against to fight that you
yeah,
have no problems with killing.
yes,
Evil space clowns is one of those things. Like, no
yeah.
one has a problem with killing an evil space. No one's gonna be like, well, they're just misunderstood. No, it's an evil space
Oh
clown.
man,
Everybody wants him dead. Yeah,
they are evil space clowns. Gotta
everybody
die.
wants him dead. They gotta
No,
die,
that's hard to argue against.
right? So like, I get it. Like, I'm all for it because it's a nice monster. No one's gonna cry about. Like, yeah, we shouldn't do that. We should be nice to the goblins. No, kill the goblins. Just slaughter them all.
But
Kill them all. They're evil.
people will play nicely occasionally with goblins. Nobody's going to play nicely with killer space clowns.
Exactly, and that's what that's why I'm happy they're there.
Yeah.
Aberrations seem to be another thing too, where people would just like, okay, you just kill them on sight. They're
Yes.
non-feeling, non-thinking organisms until the beholder starts to cry, and then everyone's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
I want the plushie Xanather.
Mind flayers, beholders, weird things like that. Uh, gibbering mouthers, anything like that that doesn't really make sense. People are generally all right with just killing it. I'm not saying they
Yeah,
won't make deals with it and work with it, but usually there has to be a good reason.
yeah, they try. They try to get a good reason. I didn't think it was going to kill me and my friends.
Yeah, mind flayers kind of do that. You are food to them.
Like vampires. Vampires used to be a really cool monster that no one had a problem staking a vampire to death. There was no like, oh, but it could be good. And then Twilight came out and ruined it for everybody. And everyone's like, well, it could have a heart of gold. No,
Or it could sparkle in sunlight where
it's a vampire.
and
Kill
everybody's
it.
gonna kill it. Yeah. Yep.
Ugh.
All right. I think we've about exhausted everything for this week. Thanks for listening, folks. Bye, Craig.
I'm on a tangent now. I could keep going for another hour and a half about this crap about orcs taking orcs away from me.
Oh,
No.
I know you could. That's why I'm getting out of here.
Go kobolds. Like kobolds just be just evil and horrible, and that was great. Flying spaghetti monsters. They're there. They're horrible. Don't.
I'm southbound and down. All my rolls are crits. It's time for me to hit the bricks.